Oh, well, hello, and welcome back. I'm AJ O'Neill, and we are doing some live code. Actually, I just forgot to move this over to the correct screen, so let me do that real quick. And of course, bring up the chat. Okay, so what we're going to do tonight, if you've been following along, basically you can forget everything I've done up to this point because I've decided that given the constraints that are in place, I don't think that trying to do um, anything fancy. I think that just presenting this screen and having money go to this address is basically all that we need for V1. So we don't need any server. We can use the Insights API for this. And so our Daypass paywall is going to be something that's just client side only. It would be easily defeatable by anybody who takes the time to do it, but it's kind of in the range of, well, if you know it, that's that's how you get your jollies, bypassing to read content, then so be it. So I think that's how we are going to handle the situation. And before we get started, let's have a quick sip from our not a sponsor. Now this time it's not actually the sweet and spicy. It's this one I think is called Yogi Throat Comfort. I got a little bit of itch in my throat, so I'm doing some Yogi Throat Comfort tonight. Ah, so appropriate for coding, soothing relaxation. All right, so we're just going to start over from scratch. If you want to see what the spec was all about, then you watch the first session. There should be a playlist for this in the description. Not right now, but once it ends, that should get updated and this gets added into it. But you can find it on the channel, on the YouTube channel, or it's still on Twitch right now, I think, as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a repository for this Daypass. We're going to focus just on doing this client side. We're going to make this repository a GitHub pages so that we can host the code right off of GitHub, and we're going to run with it. So first I'm just going to, let's call this Daypass. That's what it is. And then let me see if I can dig up a good short description, perhaps from here. Let's see. Let's go with boop. A dash paywall. Let's see. For content sites. Simple dash paywall for content sites. Sure. This is going to be public. We're going to have a README in here. The template that we'll go with is just going to be good old, actually, I guess Node. It's kind of funny for JavaScript, you have to select Node. That seems weird. It seems that there should be a template specifically for browser-side JavaScript, maybe? I don't know. And then license, we are constrained to go with the MIT for the incubator work, which that's a debate I'd love to have sometime. That is not what did I type that? I guess I must have typed that because everybody saw me type that, but that's not what I meant to type. I meant to type Daypass. So let's go fix that real quick. And actually, no, we can, yeah. Let's call it dash Daypass. That's what we're going to rename it to. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and let's just go ahead and rename this here. I don't know why they don't prettify these before they put them out. But let's do, again, do I already have it in my paste buffer? I do. Dash Daypass. All right. So the way that this is going to work, I'm just going to go ahead and give, we're going to do a little bit of documentation-driven development, README-driven development right now. So the way that I'm expecting this to work, let's just put usage here. In development, just so that we don't forget. I think we'll get the majority of this done tonight, but I'm not going to get the UI, much of the UI pieces done. Well, maybe we'll see. We'll see. I'll muck around a little bit with CSS and see what we can do. But what will this be once we make it a GitHub pages? In fact, let's just go ahead and make it a GitHub pages right now. So we're going to go to settings. We're going to go down to, they just call it pages now. We're going to select the main branch, might as well be. Yeah, root. Yeah, that's great. So now this is what it's published at. And then we're going to call it, I think we're going to call it -daypass.js is probably what we should go with here. So it's going to be a script tag. Source is going to be -daypass.js. And then, by the way, feel free to, first of all, let me know who you are and what brings you to the channel tonight. But also, you can drop any random questions that you'd like. As well as make comments, heckle me, whatever you want to do. Within reason, let's have some decency. All right. Yeah, so I think it's going to be, it's going to be Daypass. And check this out. Well, hello, Tammy Carter. Welcome. Okay. Yeah, so we're and maybe we'll just make it the full global will be -Daypass. That's not too difficult. So I think we're gonna have something like this. So we're gonna have an address. We could have an address in each of these, I suppose. That might make a lot of sense. But we're gonna have at least one address, and depending on what amount is given, we're going to unlock some capability for some amount of time. And we're going to handle this in local storage. Like I said, we're not going to do any server-side bits. We're just going to keep it as simple as possible to be able to get this work done. So I think that this is what the usage is going to be. And then let's see here. Welcome, Elizabeth. Let's see, is this a real account? Okay, cool. How's it going? Let's see. And then, whoops, no, not that. I'm going to say references. Just put a little place for myself to keep my reference material. That's something that I like to do. So what we're going to need is txlock is instant send. This is just a little notes and references, I guess. Let's call it that. Notes and references. So I think this is correct. Let me actually run this through Prettier real quick. Yeah. So that's legit. All right, there we go. And what I'd like to do, quite possibly, is get the address. I don't know if I actually want to do that way or not. But it could be useful to have an option to put the address in the URL and to put some of this information in the URL and just have it fill out automatically so that you have less to copy and paste maybe. And I don't know, this isn't that much to copy and paste. That's not difficult by any means. All right, so let's say this is docs. Okay. README driven development for the win. All right. Is there anything else that I want to put in there right now? I'm going to check some previous notes that I had. I should probably put in the spec. Let's see here. Let's see, Insights API. Let's put the spec. Whoop, that's not what I wanted. The copy and paste just doesn't work like it used to. Remember like in the old days when you used to hit copy and it would copy? You didn't have to double check to make sure that, it's just something weird. The world we live in. Okay, and I think also we could reference the task here. Let me see if I can get this. Where was the task at? Because we do specifically have a task for this. I'm going to check Trello real quick. Trello. No, let's look for Daypass. Dang it. I can't remember. It's all the D's. Okay, so that should be good. I think that gives us what we need most immediately. Let's see here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and commit this. And let's go ahead and clone it locally as well. And then we'll have to have a screenshot of what this preview would look like. For right now, I might just nab the mockup here. Let's see, where's the mockup? Okay. Can I grab the mockup? Interesting. It's like some things, but not others. Okay, let's see what happens if I paste that in a Git issue. And Git preview for demos for what is it? Daypass preview. If I paste this, nope, that did not paste an image. I could probably download it, rename it, unzip it, and grab it. Let's try that real quick. Download as Microsoft Word. Okay, downloads, great. And then let's just open up and rename that. Whoops. Downloads dash Daypass specification. Let's just call it dash Daypass spec.zip. And then we should be able to open that up, no problem. Oh, interesting. docx. Well, I guess they changed formats because it used to be you could, if I'm not mistaken, you could just rename it to .zip and that would be enough for it to work. So I don't know. Yeah, all right, I'll just leave that one alone. We'll just delete it. Okay, well, I guess I could screenshot the old-fashioned way, with a screenshot, but this is kind of long. Okay, we'll just do it. We'll just screenshot it the old-fashioned way. Alrighty. And then we should be able to have the link open in the wallet as well. That's not going to be a problem, actually. Okay, so how y'all doing tonight? I know that it's always a challenge to be the first one to say hello. Well, it's not always a challenge. Some people just like being the first one to say hello, and I love that. But I would love to have a little bit of who are you? Okay, that's not the one we want to do. Is this the one we want to do? Is this one from just a minute ago? Yes, it is. Okay. So let's go ahead and drop that. I don't need this here anymore because now I've got a link to it. Let's go ahead and just drop that over here. And there we go. And then we could probably use that directly in the README. But I do want to put the KBD tags around it because it gives it a nice little border. I'm all for not abusing things when we can not abuse them, but sometimes, you just got to do what works. And this is one of those times. Okay, so we do need a demo of some sort for this. Okay, that will go there for now. So docs, add preview. That's the prototype. Is that the right word to use for that? Okay, cool. So now we've got a respectable repo. Hello, Diana, welcome. But we do not have any working code yet. This is just what we're aiming for. So this is what we want to create. So we need to go create -Daypass and start filling this out. And we do need to take a look at the Insight API. Basically, I think, if I remember correctly, we just get to open up a WebSocket. Yeah. So, I don't want to use that. Just, what about the regular WebSocket? Please don't tell me that I have to use some crazy library. No. Okay, can we just use normal, everyday? I hope that we do not have to use Socket.io. Okay, WebSocket API is served using Socket.io. Let's do a quick Google and see if we can just connect to Socket.io using WebSockets. I hate it when people use Socket.io when they're not running a chat server. Because that's all that Socket.io is made for, and it uses a bunch of really old abstractions that are no longer necessary. They were necessary, 10 years ago, but they haven't been necessary for nearly 10 years. I don't like to add all that cruft if I don't have to. So, can we connect to Socket.io with plain WebSockets? Bum, 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 bum. All right. I'm hoping that they've advanced it enough to just be able to work with the spec. Yeah. Okay, it looks like... Oh, cool. All right, sweet. Let's check and see if this works. So I'll make sure to put this... Sorry, sometimes I accidentally do that. Only 10 times per session, so no big deal. Okay, so it's because the keys on the Apple keyboard are really light, and so sometimes as I'm resting my finger on the home key, just bringing it back to the home key, and I'm hitting Command with my left hand in preparation as I bring my right hand back down, and I'm using Dvorak, so my J is an H, and so when my finger comes down and lands on the home key, it's just enough pressure to set it off. Anyway, workaround did not work for me. Okay, now I'm wondering... we'll see. I'm wondering how I subscribe to particular events. Because that makes sense, but then what is the next message that I would be sending? And quote unquote subscribe to a channel. I might need to check that out in okay, was this what I wanted to look at? I was looking at WebSockets for where'd they go? Where'd my WebSockets go? I scrolled away from it. What the letter L happened here? Okay, so here was the example usage. And no. You do not use HTTP. Do not pass Go. Do not collect Dash. Okay. Yeah, I might have to try this out and then just kind of look at what the messages are. And then send that back out. But essentially what we want to do is we just want to listen for an address. How did they specify room INV? What does that mean? Huh. Room INV. So we want to listen to TXLock on INV. Okay, so what I'm going to do for right now is I'm just going to, I'm just going to open up some notes here. So plain WebSockets goes right here. For right now, I need a content site. I guess what we're going to do is we're going to use this as the demo site as well. I think is what we're going to do. So this -Daypass, what did I have there for this right here? Okay, so we're going to take that and let's go ahead and make that the website here. There we are. And this would be dash whoops, digital cache. No, yeah. Yep. Sure, why not? Okay. Maybe put the dash logo on there too. All right, we'll get there. So first, let's go, well, not first, 10th. That's why I need to start saying 10th, because I find myself often saying first, and then again, I'll say first, and then, So I think I'm going to switch to just saying 10th. All right, so here's dash. Let's go ahead and check that out. Dash Daypass. And we're going to do... dash Daypass.js. Okay. We do need also instructions for people to host this themselves, because if you want to be sure that no one's stealing your address and replacing. See, I think there's going to be some sort of attack vector here, where people find a way to just replace the addresses that people are sending money to with, if this becomes popular, there's going to be some sort of stupid plugin that says it's for emojis and actually goes around and replaces addresses or something like that. But anyway, let's go ahead and start with, I guess, we'll have our little immediately invoked function expression here. Now what we do need to do, let me see, we want to check for window, right? No, we want to check for module equals type of, no, was it undefined? If undefined is equal to type of module, then we want to pass in window. Otherwise, we want to pass in module.exports. And then we just have exports here. There we go. There's your cheapest way to get something that's going to work with just normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill, copy and paste it into anything, WordPress, whatever, as well as it'll work with the overcomplicated systems that are using Babel and Webpack and yada, yada, yada. This is the snippet that does the trick. So if undefined is module, then window, otherwise module.exports. And then the way that you have to put this out is exports.-daypass equals this thing. So actually, this is how we could do it. -daypass is its own thing. And then we do this. And then we could also do potentially, again, if undefined not equal to, I don't want to deal with it. This is plain and simple. Okay, so we're going to have a dash daypass dot create. And what this is going to do, we're probably going to have a show and a hide function. I guess maybe I should just figure out how to make some content fade. I'm going to look that up. CSS content fade paywall. Let's see. That's probably something common enough that people are doing it. That sounds about right. Create a blurred paywall area. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I need to do that. I rarely go to the New York Times, but whenever I do, it seems it tells me that I'm over my limit. Okay, I actually don't want to do it that way. I want to put the thing full on top. So I actually am imagining if I could draw this out real quick. What's a good tool to draw this with? Could I use preview? I could probably use preview to do it. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. I'm AJ. Would love to know who you are and what brings you here, what you'd like to learn. I am working through this. Where did my preview go? Oh, there it is. So open recent. Can I just do, I can't do new. Okay. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. You've seen those crazy things. You know, Homestar Runner was made, the first episode was made with Windows Paint. And you know, people can do crazy things with it. I can do not so bad with preview, but let's actually go to Figma real quick. What? Oh, silly. No, I don't. I shouldn't need to sign up. I should just be able to log in. Let's go ahead and continue with Google. Yeah. All right, here's a nice enough drawing tool. What are they doing? Here we go. Okay, so let's call this one dash daypass. And this is really simple. I probably could explain it, but I want to go ahead and draw it out. So here's the content on the page. Let's go ahead and give that a nice little stroke there. There we go. And then this is going to have some lipsum in it. Let me go generate some lipsum just so this is really, really clear what's happening here. So I'm just going to type foo for now. Lipsum generator. Let's go here. And by the way, quick reminder from our friendly neighborhood bot that reminds me to remind you, if you like what you like, you get more of what you like. So consider a like and a sub and a share with someone that you like if you want to. All right. It's funny. Let's go ahead and take this. This is great. Somebody translated the lorem ipsum. Okay, can we do rich text in there? Oh, look at that. We can even do rich text in here. That's great. Cool. So let me mark this down to a size 6 or something. Oh, there we go. That's perfect. That's perfect. Let's boost it up maybe to 7. There we go. There we go. Okay, so just for fun and giggles, I'm gonna make this look as much like a real page as I can real quick. I mean, you know what's going on here, but I guess, you know, in part this is to help me too. So it's not just that I'm doing it for your benefit. I'm doing it to solidify in my own mind. All right, so I think what I want to do is we need to identify some percentage of the page. This is the tricky part. Because we probably want a third of the page to show, but it depends on how many pixels. This is really a UX and designer problem that I don't want to spend too much time on. But there's going to be some amount of the page that we want to cover, and we want to prevent scrolling. So, because otherwise you could just scroll this area. So you basically need to turn the body of the page into fixed. And then you need to have your paywall stuff here. So let's just put a circle in here and let's give it a nice color. Maybe a nicer shade of gray. There we go. Isn't that such a nicer gray? So we're going to have our circle say here. And then, I don't know, can we do a gradient? I bet we could do a gradient with this thing. Let's see if we can do a gradient. Okay, so with this one, I think there's an option other than fill. I could be wrong. Ah, there we are, yeah. So is that, that doesn't quite seem to work the way that I was expecting. Oh, okay. Right. So I just need to get this to be graduated. I'm pretty sure there's a way to do. I don't want to take too much time to do this. I really don't. But let's see if I can find, do we have effects, drop shadow, layer blur, background blur, inner shadow? No, we don't really want any of those. You know, I really thought that there was something, I thought there was, is there something alternative to fill? Whatever. But you get the point. So there's going to be a region, there's going to be this main square, and then on top of it is going to be the thing that has the fade to it, that's going to allow some of the text to bleed through. And then on top of all of those, if this is done correctly, let's bring this up, it's going to be our, go ahead and pay button. So that's what I'm thinking. So there we are. So something like that. And so we don't want to really mess with the content, because that's going to be too difficult. It's going to, every blog would have to implement it in our special way. We want it to be as generic as possible. So we're going to have some sort of measure. We'll have to make it a little bit variable so that somebody else can play around with it. But something of, how many pixels you can scroll or some such. I think I'm just going to make the whole thing not scrollable, and that's going to be my immediate solution, but somebody should come behind me and figure that part out. So that's kind of, yeah, that's what we're going for. So I do want to just have something, and when we create this, we're going to go ahead and do window.document. Append, .body .insert adjacent. This is really critical. This is the only method that you should be using for putting HTML on the page. All of the other ones are not as good. So insert adjacent HTML will allow you to specify everything, and it's the most performant. So it's almost always the one you want to use. You'd have to have some particular reason that you didn't want to use this, because it's the most flexible and the most performant. So let me go, I gotta go remember this real quick. Insert, I say remember this, look this up. Yeah, position is after end. So it's the very last before int. So just inside the element after its last child. That's what we want to do with body. Okay, so we're going to put this in there. And then we also need to put what our little doodad should look like. What's the best way to do this? We need to test this out locally. Let's see, we're going to have an index.html. And I guess we should go back and copy that lipsum because that's going to come in really handy. So let's go back and grab that real quick. Bloop. And then we'll put some headers around it or something. So HTML, well, first we got to have doc type. Actually, where's AJ's HTML template? Let me go find that real quick. This is one of the things that I have in my toolkit for just such an occasion. But let's say we've got H2. I'm going to paste all this in. Actually, let's make it an H3. And then this is going to be a paragraph. Funny. Okay. Rackham, is that Miser Rackham? H Rackham? No, that's not the same. Okay. Hey, how's it going, y'all? So I am, just for the benefit of the few people that just joined in, I'm building a paywall. So the idea, content, paywall, button to pay, and then there's going to be I should show you the image right over here. So send so much dash to some address. That's what I'm building. And so I'm going to have to figure out how to use the Insights WebSocket. And right now, I'm just going to go grab a little bit of my HTML copy pasta because I do have a little copy paste starter for HTML projects that has some of the boilerplate in it. There it is, AJ HTML boilerplate. Oh, it would help if I could spell. Right, so I'm just going to grab all of this up to body. And feel free to tell me who you are, where you come from, what you do. Ask me questions. We can do questions. Let's see, footer, main section. Yeah, that probably is what we should do. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and grab everything up to, was it body? What did I just grab here? Body, yeah. So let's go ahead and just paste that in there. And then down at the bottom here, just to give me some content to work with so I can play around with the, playing around with the part that I suck at the most to start, because why not? So I do mostly back end, not front end. I know JavaScript forwards and backwards, but demo dash Daypass. Yeah, we'll just leave that there for the moment being. And then let's go ahead and I'm just going to copy over. Also, where'd that go? I've got the style sheet that I like to use for little demo projects like this is MVP CSS. So I'm just going to, let's just hit raw here. Just copy that real quick. So we're going to make mkdir vendor mvp.css. Okay. There we go. There's that. And so now I should be able to open up index.html, and indeed, all right, we get a nice little page here. And now I need to figure out how am I going to add something in front of this that gives us our paywall. So again, this is not my forte. The interesting stuff that we're going to do with the Insights API is more up my alley. But I just want to get this something to hide and show so that we've got something to work with first. So I think what we ought to use here is just a div. And then the div is just going to have some sort of magical property that makes it show up on top. So I think all we got to do for that is I'm going to be evil and just use style right now. Actually, style is perfectly appropriate for a component like this. It's not something that we're trying to reuse. So it's going to be position fixed, I think is what we want. In fact, I think what we want is to say, we want to make the body position fixed in its entirety. So we want to do style dot position equals fixed, if I'm not mistaken. So that would make it so that it can't scroll anymore. And then we would want to, let me just bring this around like that. That's probably the right way to do it. There we go. Yeah. So we'd want this to be position fixed, and I think we want to give it some sort of size. So let's say width is 100%, and I forget all the time there's a way to specify that the width is actually 100%. Not, forget about the borders and the padding and all that stuff. Just make it actually 100%. Okay. But I'll remember that later. By remember, I mean look up. So bottom, I think 0px, and then what do we want? Left is 0px. And then I guess height, we're going to want, I don't know, probably a certain number of pixels. Height, I don't know. Let's just go with 50% for now. And then we want this to have some sort of color to it. Oh, by the way, I only found this out, I think it was last year, that you can put new lines inside of the quotes inside of HTML. I felt kind of dumb when I finally figured that out. All right, so let's say color red. No, that's background color. Background color red. Yeah. It might be box sizing. What's up, Coffee Cafe? Yeah, I'm a little slow on my leet read right now. So background color is red. So this might do it for us. And then, yeah. So let's just try this out. We're going to go ahead and put in our head that we want to use vendor. Let's just actually back that. Can we back that up? No, this is good. No, we want to use, what is it? Dash daypass.js. So first, all we're going to do is just load the page. Oh, and we're gonna include our create here. So let's just do dash daypass.create. And we won't do anything else. Let's just see what happens. Do we get an error? I cannot read property of null creating style. Oh, right. And in the Discord, by the way, you're welcome to come to the Discord if you'd like. There should be a link right above. So the Larn just posted today exactly the example that I need for this. So let me go grab this. It is the document add event listener content loaded. That is what we need. Yeah, so this thing. So just I'll season to taste in just a moment. So let's go ahead and put that into our dash daypass. Oh, the reason that we'd want to do it, let's see. I think we actually do want this to load first thing. We want it to load before anything else loads because we're going to put this thing in front of the content. So that makes sense. So yeah, I guess we do want this kind of ready function thing. Except let's make it an actual function. And then, what is all this nonsense here? Look at this. Come on, people. Quit being stupid. Quit trying to look cool for your friends. All right. See how much simpler that is? No ninja code. Thank you very much. All right, document's still loading. And then document's already loaded. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I guess we'll just wrap this. That makes sense. So just to get this tested, let's quick and dirty. Let's just wrap this Mojanker, and that should be good. Now let's give this a little refresh. Oh wait, it's complaining about something. It doesn't like how I indented something. What does it not like here? Oh, yeah, all right. We do need to do, let me do mkjs yo. I'll delete the yo file. That gives me, I have a little function called mkjs that does my template for me. So it gives me my pretty RC and my JSent RC. There we go. All right. So this is good, maybe. Let's go ahead and refresh and see if it does anything. Yay! All right, sweet. Look, can't scroll. Got a red box. We're halfway there. I think I will maybe, yeah, let's maybe just call that good. Yeah, that's great. All right, let's make it not red though, because that's a little bit harsh. Let's do RGBA, or we could. It'd be really cool if we just put a filter on it. Let me see about that. What's the blur filter? Was it effect blur or something? Let's see. CSS blur. Filter blur. Let's just try whatever this one is. See how that works. So instead of giving it a nasty color, we'll just blur everything out. That did not work at all. That did not work. Let's see. So can we have a blur backgrounds? CSS blur background. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I want to get to the fun stuff, which is the Insights API and actually listening to the messages. So I'm gonna send real money from my phone, about a less than a millidash, so about a penny's worth. Backdrop filter. Area behind the element. Okay, cool. There we go. Also, if you are interested in great talks on software engineering, creedsofcraftsmanship.com is where I'm personally accumulating the best ones that I find. So give that a look-see. Nope, that didn't work either. Okay, backdrop filter blur. Let's try 2px, maybe 5px. Maybe something's not working about this. Let's try background color RGBA, and then let's just give it, what do we want? 0, no. Opacity, so 0, 0, 0, and then opacity, say 0.1, 0.1. Let's just see if this is still working or if I messed something else up. All right. Let's try that. Oh, that's not what I want. Do I want to go the opposite? Oh, I want to go the opposite direction. Duh. 0.9. There we go. Okay, cool. So it'd be awesome if I could get that blur to work. I'm gonna try for about, I don't know, 2 more minutes here, and then I'm gonna give up on that. Blur, saturate. No filters applied to backdrop. All right, let's see. Lets you apply graphical effects such as blurring or color shifting to the area behind an element. Because it applies to everything behind the element, to see the effect, you must make the element or its background at least partially transparent. Okay. Does this work? Oh, it doesn't work in anything yet. Oh, no, it does work in most things. All right, it just doesn't work in some things. All right, I'm going to try one more time, and then I'm going to give up for now. So let's see. CSS Background Filter. See if I can find an example. Backdrop filter. Do they have a demo that I can see? That I can see it working? Example. Scroll. That doesn't make any sense. What? Okay. I don't get it. All right, so they've implemented Instagram filters. How does it work? Backdrop filter. Did I get the name wrong? Did I just make a stupid copy paste mistake? Oh, I called it background instead of backdrop. Come on, y'all. That's what you're here for. You're supposed to help a brother out. Yeah, thank you. All right. Yeah, there we go. I appreciate that. Yeah, let me know when I'm wrong. All right, so that's why it wasn't working. Sanity check after sanity check. Okay, we don't need the lipsum anymore. What do we got this thing over here. Okay, so we refresh. Excellent. Okay, cool. So now the next question is, could we somehow get something better than that? Sorry, I'm switching between windows a lot here. I don't know what I'm doing. That's the reason. It's that simple. Okay, cool. So it'd be nice if we could have a graduated blur. I can think of a couple ways that we could make that work, but I don't really want to do it. I think what we could do is we could create a square and we could put squares inside the square, rectangles. We could do divs inside a div. So we could have one div that's absolute positioned, and then we could have relative positioned. Or somebody probably knows how to do this with grid or some such, but I haven't touched front end since, the 90s. At least not the CSS portion. That's not entirely true, but it's true enough. One of the interesting things about the coffee warmer is that my tea gets warmer over time, because as there's less tea, the same amount of energy still has to disperse into the air, but there's less area through which it can disperse. Size of the radiator is smaller. Try playing in DevTools on the live page. You know what? That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. That's it. That's originally what I was going to do. I just forgot about it. Anyway, so we've got this. Let's go ahead and see if we can turn it off. I'd also like to know, well, okay, I want to be able to grab this thing. Okay, so let's do a few things here. All right, let's indent this whole bit by 1, or maybe not. Let's just, yeah, there we go, that whole thing. And then I'm going to call this JS Paywall. That's not too clever. I want to also have the ability to turn it off. So let's say we'll just call it remove paywall for now. That's simple enough. And so document dot, oh, you know what I need? I need AJ query. I need AJ query. Thank goodness I've got it right here. Should I use the CDN? Well, that's a lot of extra code to bring in. Oof. I think the wait's going to be worth it, though. It'll be worth the wait. That gives a whole new meaning to the phrase, it'll be worth the wait. What do we not like about this? What's the unexpected token? I didn't finish something down here? Yeah, all right, cool. So what I'll do then is I'll say, let us grab JS Paywall and then just remove it. Bloop. And then we could have an add paywall, and that can be what the other thing is. So we'll eventually do something better than that. But let's do, okay, add paywall should do this. Also, we should store the value here. I'm just going to put -daypass. We're just going to have a single instance for now. So position should be equal to something. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do position is equal to this whole bit. So I guess we could kind of trim that down to just body. There we go. And then again, we can just grab body. Let's do this. Because I hate, you know, being inefficient. Let it not be said that I don't care about performance. We want that body to be fast. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we have the position, which means we can restore the position. We should probably do this in a different way later on, but whatever, it's going to work for now. Okay, let me go ahead and get that indented properly. There we are. And then so on the remove, what we should do is make sure that we restore the position to whatever it was before. I'll check these comments in just a second. I see a few comments came in. All right. So add paywall, remove paywall. Here we go. So there's, oh, and then this, of course, needs to actually do the add paywall bit. So let's go ahead and say it's going to add paywall on load. And then I'm just going to test in the console here. All right, that's working as expected. And then I should be able to do -daypass, remove paywall, boop, and then add paywall back. And now I should be able to scroll. Yep, I can scroll again. And then we're going to add paywall. Whoops. Okay, and now I can't scroll anymore and it blurs out the text. So, yeah, it's up to somebody else. It's more designery to figure out what the right ratios and all that are, but there. I've created the paywall. Now we need to be able to make it appear and disappear by looking at payments on the blockchain and storing some stuff in local storage. Now, one of the problems is if somebody has their browser in super duper private mode, we actually don't have the ability to access local storage. I think we can still access session storage, but not local storage, which I don't know if the session storage would do us any good. And we can't access cookies or anything either. Okay, must admit, when I see a paywall, I often check to see if the page has what I want but hidden and if I can see it anyway. Yeah, of course. I mean, we're developers. But the thing is, this is geared towards a particular community. So this is geared towards the Dash community. So there is a sense of you're ripping off one of your fellow Dashers, right? And also, so many of the people in the community are non-technical. They do not know how to right-click inspect elements. So to get V1 of this out the door and have something that works and people can get paid for, this is going to work just fine. Now, I was originally thinking around a more complex solution, but the spec is so vague in terms of just let's try to make it work for everybody, for everything, on every platform, that I thought there's no way to do this. Let's just do it the stupid way. And so, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if we were to blur server side and send out an image, well, I wouldn't want to send out an image, but what you can do is you can just give junk text underneath the blur. And then, so you can have the leading text, then you can have the junk text under the blur, the lorem ipsum, whatever. And then, because there's no, I don't want to send an image over that. But yeah, then you set a cookie and then on refresh, yada, yada. But in this case, I think we actually want to maybe even allow them to import and export between devices and browsers. So say, so they could technically share with other people. But again, because the community is so small, there's some amount, and the payments on these are going to be really small payments. So these are going to be payments that are maybe 10 cents equivalent, so we're a millidash, maybe 10 millidash. So it's not break the bank, and it's really quick and convenient. It's not, you're not subscribing to something on a monthly basis, So I think there's a lot of incentives for people to just respect and pay because it's not a trap. Yeah. There's been a lot of services that have started using the name Dash recently. Dash has been around for quite some time, but yeah. By the way, let's see what our yogi says, or our message from our yogi. Uncage your heart, free your heart, let it be wild. Is that really the kind of message that we want from RT? Shouldn't RT say something, let your heart relax, let your heart feel the calm, soothing peace of the chi as you sip this chai? I think that's what it should say. All right. Next. So we've got something that's doing a paywall. Now we get to the fun stuff. Let's go ahead and comment that out. And if you like AJ query, by the way, just to let you know, it's properly released into the public domain. I released it as well on Twitter. This was actually version 2 that I released on Twitter. This right here, what you see here. So, I know it could be a lot of extra bloat to add to your code, but if the convenience trade-off is worth it for you, just give it some consideration. Oh, also this was, wait a minute. L or document selector. Yeah, okay, that's correct. All right, so we've got this thing working now. We need to connect to the Insights API. So let's get to that. That's the fun blockchainy stuff, right? The block explorer. Where did I have that documentation up? Did I have it up here? Yes, I have it up here. So I hate so much that they use Socket.io. That's just it's so dumb when you have something this simple. All you need is listen to events. Socket.io is so much garbage overhead, but whatever. For the sake of getting this set up right now, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So we want to use https insight.dash.org. We should need a port, and then that should do it for us, I think. So I'm just going to refresh over here, and then let's see what we get. And the network tab, ugh, throw up in my mouth a little bit, but what do you do? Okay, so now I guess we just want to listen no matter what. And we can listen before the page is ready, I suppose. That just makes the checks a little bit more difficult. Actually, first thing that we want to do is, I know that, so that again, I said I'm doing this a really dumb way. What I'm going to do is just look for a transaction ID, that can be checked exists. So let's go to Insights real quick. And Let's just take a look at this one right here, and we're just going to take a peek at an address. So we're going to use this address. This is going to be our address right here. Oh, whew. Bless me. All right, unconfirmed balances. Okay. So what we're going to do in our index.html, we should be passing in at least address. Address is going to be, we're just going to paste that in for now. So I'm just looking for any transaction that, well, I'm looking for a transaction in local storage that matches this address. That's what I'm going to be looking for. So let's go back to -daypass. Let's go back to the create here. This doesn't have to wait. We can try local storage. So this is what we need to do. I guess what we want to do, we want to throw up an alert, window.alert. Actually, we want to throw up the alert later. We just want to find out right away. So we're going to have a storage mechanism here. So let's call this storage. I'll just set it to null for now. And we're going to say try local storage set item. Well, I guess just get item would work. Get item doesn't exist. And if that works, then we're going to use local storage for the storage. Otherwise, we're going to try, we're going to put some sort of warning in here. So else, just ignore, right? No, not try else, try catch. Okay, so here we're going to try again. Sorry, I will check out comments in just a second. Let me finish this little bit of flow that I'm in. So what we're going to do is we're going to try session storage. And then we'd need a storage warning. Which would be basically in private browser mode, local storage is not available. We can't track your payment in private browser mode. Actually, I think in private browser mode we do. There's some instance where we don't get access to local storage. I don't remember exactly what it is. I know it has to in places where third-party cookies are disabled. But this, we're not going to load this in an iframe, so this should be fine. But otherwise, yeah, I guess either one of these, that's still true. Yeah, so let's just go with this. Ignore. Okay, we show the storage warning when they go to pay. Okay, so we've got this, and we need to make a request. Let me request tx. Okay, check storage and request tx. All right, now let me catch up on comments here. I should go and try and do my own dev stuff. Good luck with it. All right, yeah. Have a good one, Coffee Cafe. Thanks for stopping by. And to those of you that are joining in, hello, I'm AJ. I am working on a a paywall for Dash, which is digital cash. So let me go back here. So this is basically what we're trying to do is there's some content, and you want to have the ability to unlock that content for a very, very small amount of money, not a monthly subscription or anything like that. Just say, hey, yeah, support this content with a millidash, which is roughly 10 cents or $1 or something like that. So it's quick, it's easy, and that's the use case that I'm trying to enable right now. So I just did a little bit of the CSS kind of stuff. So where it's made it so that we can't scroll the page and that the content's blurred. And again, I'm not worried about keeping out people that want to get past it at this point. This is a V1 proof of concept. We want to get something that can work together. Okay, so I kind of want to say dash daypass dot init storage is going to be this function here. All right, that's good enough. And then I guess I'm going to want to call that, of course. And then what we want to check is let's see if how do I want to do this? So we want to check if a payment's been made. So I'm going to call this check storage. Putting underscores on here just to document that this is internal API, might change, no guarantees. So we're going to do a check storage, and basically if not, so we're going to let db equals, sorry, I'm jumping back and forth here. It's just storage there, db. Okay, so if we don't have a db, then there's nothing that we can do. So we're just going to return, but we're not going to throw an error because we're going to surface the warning message to the user later. Okay, so there's going to be a check storage. And then here, we should just do db get item. And then I think what we want is to get probably dash daypass, daypass tx. That's all we really want right now. And we probably do want to throw a try catch around this. You'll hear me say this all the time on the channel. Try catches are code smell, but there are a few cases where they're legitimate. And one of those is parsing JSON. Almost always you should be using a dot catch, not a try catch. Or you should actually be handling your errors or whatever. But JSON parse is one of those things. So I'm going to say tx JSON is equal to this, and then let tx, and then let's do tx equals tx JSON dot parse tx JSON. And then, what do we do if that doesn't work? And just console.log it. And I guess this should actually be or null. Or empty object, perhaps, might be a little bit nicer. No, I'll just leave it or null. That's fine. Okay. And then I could also put that null here. Yeah. There we go. That's probably a better place to put it. And then we just put here invalid input or invalid transaction. Okay, so if the transaction exists, then we want to figure out what time it was and then figure out how long the content should have been showed for. And that's going to have to do in part with some information that we're going to pass in. Okay, so we're going to have in here an address is one of the things we're going to have. And again, might as well just, for right now, I'm treating this more as an init than a create. We may address that later. So there we go. Let me turn up the heater a little bit. We're having a bit of a cold spell. You know, we made it all the way to April 14th, and then all of a sudden it just got cold. Again. It was getting warm. I'm in Utah. And it's the coldness of the desert and the heat of the desert. Everything at once, you know. A buddy of mine told me that there's a movie that just came out, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that is interesting to see, and I will probably be interested to see it. All right, so I think what I'm going to want to do here, let's just say this moves. Check storage. So I want to, it's not really a check storage, but it's more a check pass, I'm going to call it. Yeah, let's call it that. We're going to call it check pass. And then we could just go ahead and take address in here maybe. Yeah, there's some plan information we need. I'll figure that out later. Okay, so there's going to be, for right now, I'm going to hard code this. I'll fix that later. But insight.dash.org/ where was it at? API something something. I had it here earlier. Where was it? It was on the other page. Let me save this. Open up ye old nerd tree. Go in here and oh, that's it. It is right there. Okay, never mind. We're going to go back here. I'm going to close out nerd tree and I'm going to look at, no, not here. I'm going to look, where did I have Insight up? I just had that up. Where did it go? Bring it back. Here it is. Let's make that into its own separate window. So I'm going to want to look at this thing. Let's look at this thing. And then I can go back to look into the other thing, actually. Yeah, there we go. So we should see in here TX address. This is what I wanted. I want this. There we are. We're going to go make a template out of that address. So sorry, I went by with that too fast. So what I was looking for is the URL that's going to be loading. Let's see, can we pretty print this? Close enough. It's going to be loading the transaction information because what we're going to do is check to see if the transaction in local storage has a payment to the address. So again, not super sophisticated, but it's going to work well enough for, well, it's going to work infinitely better than nothing at all. And it's going to work as a, yeah, I should pay for this. Thing, an incentive for 90% of the audience that would pay. I think I also might want to do number of free articles or free viewings or something like that. Free amount of time on the site, you know, that you get per day. You can look at one article per day or something. You know, there's different ways that we could tweak it and tune it. Oh, and a reminder, if you like what you like, remember, you get more of what you like. So if you like this, consider giving it a thumbs up, sub, follow, whatever. Also, we've got a Discord. There's a link right there for the Discord. And then, you know, share with somebody that you think would like it too, if you want to. Remember, I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, unless we're talking about code, in which case I'm definitely trying to tell you how to live your life. All right, so we got that in. Oh, wait, let me clear my copy buffer. There we go. That's what I wanted. And then we just need to turn this bit into the template string there. So address, and that should be good enough. And whatever is on the most recent page. Oh no, we don't want address. We do actually want a transaction. Sorry. So let me comment that out for later because we will want that. But that's not what we want right now. I do need to go back here and then click on a transaction ID instead. Okay, so let's go take a look at what that yields. So we should see down here now, there's the transaction ID. Here's the headers. This is what it looks like. Oh, very simple. Yep. Okay. No problems there. Let's just move that slightly out of the way again. Don't mind me as I just flip through windows here. I saw Batman last night. Whatever the new one's called. The Batman. Is that what it's called? It was all right. It was a bit long. I don't know if it's just because I'm getting old and I'm just not as impressed as I once was. I think it was well done. I really liked the Batmobile. Have y'all seen it? Did you? I won't do any spoilers. But I'm assuming everybody that wants to see it kind of, you've seen it by now. But the Batmobile, I just loved going back to that 1980s style of Batmobile. There was a few choices in there that I thought were really nice like that. Just. All right. So we've got the address. We don't need the address. We need the TX. And I'm going to go with tx.id. Oh, we do need the address, just not yet. Let's get a little further along first. So we need tx.id. So if not tx, oops, just return. There we go. Remember, don't unnecessarily complicate things. Don't have big, huge nested ifs or huge nested try catches. If statements should generally be, if you're 3 lines long on an if statement, you are really, really stretching it. And you almost should never have an else. And if you do have an else, it should be 1, 2 lines long if you're really pushing it, you know? Don't just senselessly indent code. No one likes reading a Christmas tree. It's just not fun. Except it's not a Christmas tree because there's no presents. There's just doom. Never-ending doom. All right, so here, how do I handle that? Now I need this to be async. I'm going to rename this to init, and I'm going to go change that over here for right now. Because you can't have something be create that you have to await. That just doesn't feel right. It just feels wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to put error in here for funsies. Oh, what is going on? There we go. That's the indentation was kind of being weird on that. All right, close that out. So what are y'all up to? What have you been working on lately? What are you learning? What would you like to learn? Okay. TXID. So we really do want to have resp equals, and of course let body equals resp.json await. We need to await that. TX data, let's call it. Yeah. And then let me see again what that looks like. So basically we just want to check to see what does this vout look like? So the questions we need to answer is how old, how much, which address. And let's go back to looking at the debugger here. Okay, so the preview, it is a single object. It's got vn, vout, and some stuff on it. I would be looking for something that really probably only has one. Well, I guess it would probably have two VOuts. But I'm looking for the VOut that's the script pub key address, and it's the address that we care about. So let me go double check on that real quick. What was the address that we care about? 8CS or TUN? Or was it something different? Let's see. TX data. Okay, it's upset about that because I haven't figured that out. This was a different address entirely. So let's go back to here, and I'm just going to copy one of these addresses out of the VOut just for funsies. There we go. So let me bring that back around over here. And I think I saw a message come in. I will respond to that momentarily. Let me just kind of finish my train of thought on this. Okay, so we should have TX data VOut. So how old? Do we have timestamps on these? Confirmations, block height, lock time. I don't know what that means. Time. What time is this time system in? New date. I'm going to guess times 1000. Yep, that looks about right. Yeah, this just happened recently. Okay, so we have time that is a number, right? Not a string, because some of these things are kind of weird because they, oh, no, that's not the one I want to look at. I do want to look at this one, right? Yeah, because sometimes they put strings where it should be a number. So this is just txdata.time. Okay, got it. So how old is it? Let's date time dt is equal to new date, whoops, txdata.time. And I guess we could say if not txdata.time, then we can just return because there's nothing that we can do. That's going to be kind of weird though. And then we need date time times 1000, of course. So that's how old. And then how much. We're going to take a look at the VOuts. Well, actually, first we need which address, and then we can find out how much from that. Okay, let me check the comments here. Started a coding camp at UCI. I don't know what that is, but you do, and that's what's important. I guess I could Google that. Learning to be a full stack web dev. What are you working on? I'm working on and this is Matt, you know who. Hey, Matt, you know who. Welcome. Just looking to fully dive into everything code. Awesome, great. So I am working on a payment. Let me go back to the little fizzy do here. We hate these things. But the reason that we hate these things, I think is in large part because they're done very poorly and they're always on a subscription model that doesn't make sense. I want to look at 2 articles a month and it wants to charge me $15 a month on a subscription plan, right? And so this is kind of a solution to, it's a paywall. What I'm assuming that you can kind of tell what this is just from the outline, but this is a paywall. So there's some content and then you can't read all the content because there's that daggone annoying paywall in the way. But the idea is that instead of the paywall being super annoying, the paywall is super convenient because the paywall is made with Dash. And so you just scan the QR code, you send a millidash or 10 millidash or some small amount for access to the content for a short amount of time. So, I mean, just think of it this way. If every time I wanted to read a news article, I, instead of having to subscribe for $10 a month, could pay, I don't know, maybe up to 30 cents. Yeah, I'd do that. And if I got 24-hour access to the content, yeah, I think I could do that. 10 cents, certainly. I'd have no problem with 10 cents whatsoever. 20 cents to 30 cents. Once it gets to $1, if it was really good content, if it was a review on something that was really important to me, or if it was important in terms of learning, or I really knew that it was going to be worth it, I'd do it. But, you know, that's kind of the idea here, is to create a digital cash paywall where you scan the QR code, you pay with digital cash, Dash, and then you get access to the content. And so I think it's a neat idea. How do you know what the TXID is going to be? Ah, yes. So that's an excellent question. I'm glad that you asked. So remember, I've talked about this several times. You have to think about the end of what you're trying to do. not the beginning. And because I'm somewhat of a nonlinear thinker, I sometimes forget to explain that that's what I'm doing, but I'm thinking about the end. So the end result is that the user is going to get a transaction saved in local storage, and that is going to be their key. Now, obviously, this is super easy to spoof for technical people like us, but for non-technical people, this is going to be good enough most of the time, right? So we're going to save their transaction ID in local storage. So the first thing that I want to do when the page loads is I want to check to see have they already paid. And the way that I'm going to do that is by looking at a transaction ID, seeing if that transaction ID has the address in question, and seeing if the vout to that was greater than or equal to whichever support tier, or not support tier, pass tier it falls into, right? So that's what I'm going at right now. Hold on just 1 second. My lips are kind of chapped. The winter, the sudden second winter came on really strong. I need to grab some chapstick. There we go. Let's see if this is one that my daughter has eaten. No, it looks like this one's intact. Okay, that feels better. I gotta not leave it directly in her sight though, because otherwise I'm just gonna put it back. There, out of where she could see it. Yeah, so that's how I'm gonna know what the transaction ID is because it's already gonna be saved. So I'm working from the leaf node, which is that everything's gone through successfully, and then I'm working back to the point of where we scan it and get it. So for right now, I'm just picking a random TXID. This one, what was it? This one here. So this is my random transaction ID that I'm going to be testing with for right now. So I'm going to put that, I'm going to do some sort of, I'll go ahead and move it down here. But I'm going to do some sort of local storage set item. And did I do get item or get over here? Yeah, I did get item. Good. And then we're going to do dash daypass tx, and then I'm going to put in json.stringify. And then we're going to have ID, and then boom. So essentially, I'm going to do this. I'm going to test the null case first. And then I'm just going to put some information on it. We're going to go fetch it, and we are going to see. So, so we're going to see how old it is, and I'm just going to console.log this. How old? And this really doesn't tell us how old, but it gives us the time stamp, and we'll get how old later. So which address? The address we're going to get from something that's passed in. That's going to be part of the config that the person who runs the site is going to do. So that's going to be our address. And then how much, the way that we're going to find that out is we're going to go over txdata vout, and we're going to go over for each. And let's see. Let's spent equals 0, and we're going to for each vout, and then what is it, vout dot script pub key or something like that. Let me go check what it is. So under vout, it is script pub key, and then it's addresses, and then we're just looking for any of the addresses that match. And then we're looking for the value that's coming out of those addresses. So let's go back here. Was that? Let's see. Was that straight? Is this a child? No. So value is what we need to check for there. I'm a little bit confused as to why this is an array of addresses, because I would think that it would be confusing. How would you assign value? How would you assign one value to multiple addresses? I think that's probably just a residual protocol thing. I'm not really sure what that is. Addresses dot includes. So has address. Here's another little tip. Keep your if statement simple. If it looks too long, if it's going to be too hard to read, give it a name, because this is really simple. This might be difficult to understand. Okay, what I got to read a lot of stuff to figure out what I'm doing. But if I just give it a variable name, has address, boom, really simple. So if not has address, just return, because we don't need to do anything. And then if it does have the address, then I suppose what we want to do is spent plus equals vout.value, except that, gosh darn it, what is it, 100 million? 100 times 1,000 times 1,000. And I would do the underscore bit. So, the right way to do this would be to do, was it like that? How many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So is it? I don't remember. Is it like that then? Is it? No, because it's more than that. Isn't it a million? I don't know. Anyway, you could do it this way, but I don't have my JS hint is not updated to support the well, by now rather old JavaScript syntax, and so I just need to do it this way. And I'm going to have to double check on that. I was just doing this somewhere else. Let me go open up this window in another place, and I will check those comments in just a second. But I'm going to open up this window in another place where I was just recently using this and see, because I had that number. It's such a weird number that you have to multiply by. It's so confusing. I have to either guess and check or go look it up every time. Where did I put that in? That was under bin adder, I think. Okay, 100 times 1,000 times 1,000. 100 times 1,000 times 1,000 is what I need to multiply by the value, and then I got to round that down. Yeah, I'm just going to copy this line because I just did this recently, actually. Okay. So there we go. Value, and then spent, and what's the right word? Amount. Okay. So then we want to console.log spent, and I think we want to take spent and divide by, and then we want to do two fixed. So then we want to divide by Satoshis, and then do two fixed, and then just do, I don't know, 4 decimal places or something. I don't think we want to do all of them, do we? How many are there? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 decimal places. 8 decimal places, I think. Okay, so sure, we'll just show them all. That's fair enough. Okay, so if I refresh right now, I'm probably going to get an error for some reason or other, but in theory, this is what we need to do the check. So I'm going to go back over here. No, not over here. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to open up the console. I'm going to refresh. Let's see what do we get. No errors? I don't believe it. Especially because this did not... yeah, something's definitely wrong. Because we didn't make those network requests. So did I not call it? Gotta think about this. Check pass. Oh. I know why. Hold on. And I'll read that comment in just a second. Because it's returning. Because there's nothing to do. No storage. All right, so there's no storage. No tx.id. What other reasons would we return? No txdata.time. Okay, the rest of this is good. So now I've confirmed set no number. Let me go ahead and copy this. So I have confirmed something good, which is that I did not break the paywall. But now if I go set the item in local storage and refresh, we should see, there we go. Perfect. Oh, that's not the way I wanted to. Okay, now let me catch up on comments. Yeah, my daughter eats chapsticks. I think that is probably common among 2-year-olds. I'm trying to think of a case where vout would have more than one address. Yeah, I don't think it is. Maybe a multi-sig m of n would involve more than one address. But wait. But this is vout is where dash is being sent to. It's an output, not an input. So I don't think that would be the case. I'm guessing that it was built to be more extensible, and there's other opcodes or something that could be used. So for that format, you could have multiple addresses, but not for the payment operation, is my guess. Just one second. Okay. I ran a poll on Twitter because I want to get, now I've got my coffee warmer for my tea, which is excellent, but I also need a can cooler for my Mountain Dew. So I ran a Twitter poll. I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing off because I'm going to drink the last sip now. And people advised me to get the Yeti, which costs $30 over the other things. But I did a little bit of research because I was at Walmart and I thought, well, let me see what they have. Let me see if they have the $30 Yeti and if they have something else available. Turns out the Ozark Trail can cooler outperforms the Yeti can cooler. I don't even know what the right sound effect is for that. I guess for the Yeti. All right, there we go. That was the last of it. Tasted good. My throat feels uncomforted. Okay, cool. So everything's, hey, you know what I forgot to do? We had a great moment here. Look, it worked. You know what that calls for? A little bit of celebration. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to try to do this as simply as possible. We'll probably, I'm going to get the V1 prototype done this session. We're almost 2 hours in. I hate to say that I'm going to get something done at a certain time. It's never true. But so far things are moving along quite speedily. I think we're actually going to get to that prototype. We're going to need somebody to do a design pass. But we're going to get to the prototype of this thing working pretty soon, because now I just need to show the QR code, which, do we have something with insights to be able to do that? If not, I can import a browser library to do it. It's not that big of a deal. And then we need to listen on the WebSocket. And if I don't go down any rabbit holes and I just say, whatever, we'll use socket.io, then I should be able to do that fairly quickly. It's just, I just hate to waste all of that nonsense on something so simple as we just want to listen on an event. Anyway, let me get caught up here. Let's see. Script hub is basically the conditions that have to be met to move the funds. For a regular transaction, those conditions are provide the pub key that matches the hash and provide a valid sig for that pub key. But you can have a script pub that says if 2 out of 3 addresses sign a transaction. But wait, but outputs? I don't understand, because how would it know how much goes from, because that should be inputs, not outputs. But maybe I'm not understanding it. Anyway, for those of you joining in, welcome to the channel. And for those of you that have been here for a little bit, again, my bot is reminding me to remind you that, hey, if you like what you like, you get more what you like. So thumbs up if you want to, thumbs down if you don't. And consider a follow, sub, and sharing with someone else that you like or hate. Either one, depending on how you're feeling about this. Anyway, let me go ahead and get back to the meat of the problem here. So we do want to find out how old this is. Let's go ahead and just say let now equals date.now, no surprise there. And then we can just kind of skip the middleman here. We do need to do math.round on this, because anytime you have to, no, we don't have to, this was an integer, so we don't need math.round. Pardon my French there. We don't need math.round. And this would be sent when it was sent. What do we call that now? I'm just going to call it then. And then the duration would, of course, be the now, which is going to be newer than the then. We cannot have a now that's older than the then. That's just not reasonable. And then we want to break that duration down. I think this is something that I had in one of my cheat sheets. It's relatively simple to do. But essentially all we need to do is say if duration is greater than, let's see, direction. I make that typo all the time. It's greater than 24 times 60 times 60 times 1000, right? So day ago, call this ago. What? I want to be able to say, sure. All right, we'll just say days ago. Okay, so first we'd actually need to know what plan they're on. So let me move this down, because this is the wrong question to ask at that time. So we need to be able to figure out from what's spent, we'd want to know what plan they're on. And we don't have plans yet, but let's just assume that there is, I don't know. For the sake of brevity, we're just gonna do 24 hours is the only plan right now. Then is the most, hey, Cornholio, then is the most courageous name for a variable I've ever seen. No, reserved word. I don't think it is a reserved word in JavaScript. I think it's only a reserved word in Bash. I don't think it's a reserved word in too many languages. I could be wrong about that. Is it a reserved word in Python or something? I think, yeah. Yeah. now and then. Now, later, before, I don't know. Duration, days ago. So if duration is greater than days ago, then we can just kind of return and we can put in our little debug here. And this would be expired token. And then what else do we want to do? Wait, where did I put the spent bit there? So if spent is, all right. So this is a funny thing you have to do in JavaScript. So watch what I'm about to do here. So what I would do is I'd say if spent is less than 0.01, return. Let's say that's what the price is. But nay. Actually, okay, fine. I'm going to do it this way. Do I want to do it this way? Valid equals, okay, let plans equals, we're going to do amount 0.001, and then the duration of this is going to be 24 hours. So we're just going to go ahead and do it. So 24 times 60 times 60 times 1000. There we go. So, okay, here we go. We're going to do plans after all. So has valid, so has pass or valid pass is valid. Ugh. Why was that so hard? Okay, so plans, plan. Okay, now I'm going to show you the part that I was going to show you. I got sidetracked there. So we could say, well, if spent is less than plan amount, but we can't do this because it's JavaScript and you can't be guaranteed that it's actually going to be comparing numbers. So instead you have to do if what do we call this? Above threshold, maybe? Let's say is above threshold. So we have to invert it and say if spent is greater than or equal to the plan amount, and then we do invert it is above threshold. So if not is above threshold, return false. And the reason for this is because in JavaScript, if you are not comparing numbers, so say you want to compare this is less than that, well, if this is banana, you'll get nan. And so you could get false negatives. I typically in JavaScript, I invert my comparison operators so that if something goes wrong in the code, it's just defensive coding. If something goes wrong in the code and it ends up for whatever reason not actually comparing numbers, then I'm still guarded because I'm negating the condition. So I'm testing for the false condition and then I'm negating it to get I'm testing for the true condition and then negating it. I'm saying it wrong, but you get what I'm saying. You have to invert it because if the operation ends up being nan, you may get a false negative. So you have to put it in a way that you're guaranteed to get a positive. And if you need the negative, then you negate the positive. Sorry if that sounds wordy, but I think it makes sense. Okay, let me get back here to comments. Then is reserved in Lua for what? What is Lua used then for? I thought Lua syntax was almost identical to original JavaScript, other than that it has local. At least it's a promise function. Yeah. This session looks very accessible. We'll watch it as VOD. Good night. Hey, good night to you too. I'm glad that it seems accessible. You'll have to report back if you find that the original and the end are similar. Okay. Let me get back to doing the good work here. So the other bit that I'm going to check about validity, we're going to move now, then duration. Okay, so we're going to move this back up here. And we should probably have, yeah, we're going to get rid of days ago, but we're going to keep this similar. Let's see, duration. This is a duration. This is more type information than a good variable name, but whatever. Now I'm going to take this inside of here. So typically what I like to do when I can is have the fall through condition be the falsy condition. But in this case, I need to combine multiple things together. So plans.sum. So I'm going to return false. And if I fall through to the end, I'm going to return true at the end. So this is how I'm going to write it. Normally, I'd want to return true where I know that the condition is true. But in this case, I'm testing multiple false conditions. I guess I could do is above threshold. I could do return is above threshold and return is not expired or something like that. Okay, so we don't need days ago. Instead, we're going to do plan.duration, right? So let me just put a little bit of white space there. So we got plan amount. And then here, we don't need that. We've got duration is greater than or equal to, no, we want greater than plan duration. So it's valid if it's less than. So that's actually what we want to test. Well, that's fine, I guess. Yeah. So let is expired. Let's just do this. I'm becoming such a fan of not having conditions in if statements. It's so much easier to read the code. And code should be all about the readability. And then I kind of want to move this because I hate it. It's just terrible if you have to read from bottom back up to top. So I think what I need to do here is pull this out and then say has valid or is valid payment, or payment is valid. And let's say payment is valid. Let's go with that. Payment satisfies plan. There we go. That's kind of a little bit verbose. I'm not sure if I'm in love with it, but I'm going to go with that for now. All right, there. Separate that out. Let's see, could we pull this all the way out? I think it needs access to some of these things that are being closed over here. So I don't think we'd want to pull it all the way out. But let me check. Okay. So is expired. So if not is valid, that's where we want to put out some debug. TX token is expired or does not meet requirements. Minimum payment requirements. And we could do something where we say, this would be interesting. If payment is between plans, multiply, or prorate. Yeah. To do prorate payments that are between plans. So if you bought by the hour rather than buying by the day, then if you pay more than an hour, we could just prorate your hour. Maybe. We could have an allow prorating. Otherwise, it's just a a bonus. Interesting. So Lua is more like Python in that regard, or I guess more like Ruby. If expression, then code block end. Okay, so is this correct? What do we want to do when everything is valid? Check pass. I guess what we want to do is we want to know how much longer it's valid for, maybe? I think I did too much in this function. This function's way too big. What we need to do is we need to get the relevant data, which we've gotten by this point here. And then, I mean, that's still a lot, but I think, there's a certain amount of minimum complexity. We could do, let me think about how I could do this a little bit simpler. I don't want to break things up too much because then it's just difficult to read, but get TX token. So we could do that. We could say, here's the whole bit of getting the TX token. Sure. Let's do that. So return TX, and then this would be let TX equals get TX token. Okay. And then we could have a get TX data. And I really like putting things in newspaper order, so I think I'm going to move these down below. So headliner order, newspaper order, I forget what you call it. But basically, you have the core function that does the most work above the helper functions, so that you can kind of read the overview of, oh, this is what this whole bit is going to do. Okay, so let's say and this isn't that much. Is it worth abstracting away? Maybe, maybe not. Let TX data equals dash pay get. Didn't I have a get TX data? No? Well, I will in just a moment. Get TX token. Oh, I have get TX token. I'm going to have get TX data here. Get TX data. And this is going to take the TX and we're going to give it the TX ID. So get TX data. So if not TX, return. Yeah, so minimum complexity here. We're going to await this. Check pass. Okay, get TX token. That's async still. Now this one doesn't need to be async. Let's get rid of the async on that. We don't need that one to be async. Okay, get TX data. This one needs to be async. And then, I don't know if that was really worth pulling out, but whatever. Just trying to get this down. And then I want this to become, all of this is, really, I guess this is what we want out of the TX data. So this might make sense to just move this whole thing in there. Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll move this whole thing in there. And then we'll have a different bit of information about what's on TX data. Plans is going to get passed in. So we're going to pass in plans here. I haven't done that yet, but we will. We're just moving things around, just to do a little light refactoring. By the way, feel free to ask questions about this or other stuff. I do turn interesting Q&A into clips. So I have an editor, Josh. He looks for the text-to-speech recognition showing his name. And then sometimes when we do a little Q&A and it's fun, I'll say, hey, Josh, turn that into a clip. Except this time I'm not actually saying turn it into a clip. But just to let y'all know, so feel free. I'll turn it into something good. All right, so at the end here, what I actually want to return isn't the full TX data. What I want to return is the duration and the payment. think is that all we care about? And the address. So we want to get the transaction and the address. So let me bring this back around. Get tx data. Okay. And then we can put in the address here. That's great. And then here, we're really just going to be checking a plan against tx data. Maybe with the way that I should put that out. And then, yeah, I could move that out. Let's see about this. So what if we just did function, then we did plan, and then we did return dash Daypass. And you'll notice I'm doing a lot of stuff with underscores here. The reason is that I like to be able to debug the code from the console, and so I like the private methods to be exposed in terms of being able to do a little bit of hacky-do if I need to in the console. And then it's easier to test them as well because they're exposed. So we're gonna pass in here. We're gonna pass in plan, and we're gonna pass in the tx data. So law of specificity is that your parameters, when you have multiple parameters like this, the parameter that is the most constant should be on the most left. Just in general, data is the most constant should be to the most left, and or data is that is the most specific. So you go from constant to variable, but you also go from most specific to least specific. So your optional stuff is the least specific of all. It has almost no value. So that goes towards the end if you need multiple parameters. But your constants are either part of your bit, your package, or therein is the first argument, the stuff that supplies context. So in the case of plans is something that we're going to pass in here. So let me go ahead and do this. Yeah, I'm going to move these plans over into the init function for right now. And we're going to actually move that back up to the top. So let's go ahead and move this up to the top. Yeah, so all the way up at by init storage. Yep. All the way up to the tippy top. And I'll go ahead and move this down. That's fine. So plans is something that we will pass into check pass. We actually could pass in plans and address to that, I suppose. Probably just together, really. I think that makes more sense. In fact, we'll move the plans out as well. But I think we want to default plans. So we could have plans, and then we could say, if not plans, then plans is this. There we go. So now we're really getting close to what we ought to have. Okay. And then we do have a little bit of a problem here where whichever I need to promisify this, and then we need to do a race between these two, which I'm imagining always this one would win, so that if this one finishes and we've added the paywall, then I guess we should add the paywall after. I think that's what we should do. Let me move this. That's the way that it should be. I think this is the way most sites work. So you'll be able to get a glimpse of the content for a second, and then the paywall shouldn't take too long to load. but it'll load after the content has been presented on the screen. Whoops. Wait, did I just flippy do that around? I think I did just flippy do that around. Yeah, no, this is right. This is right. Because if this check passes, okay, so is valid. And I'm not going to put some silly timer to give them a countdown and say, oh, you've only got 5 minutes remaining. As long as they haven't refreshed the page, they can view the content a week later or whatever. So yeah, is valid. So if not is paid, that's when we put in the paywall. Okay, this is really starting to come together now. Yeah, I know about the promise race. Thank you. That's why I was mentioning it. Yeah, but I think this is the right approach right here. Although I would prefer this to be a promise than to be ready, but I'm not going to promisify it right now because I'm focused on other things. Oh, you know what I did that was stupid? I had something that worked and I did not do a get stash. I mean, not a get stash, a get stage. I did not do a get add. I should have done that. Let's see. Oh, and another reminder. So I have those set, I think, about every 27 minutes with the whole like and sub if you want to. So I hope that's not coming in too hot. I don't want to, annoy people by saying that over and over again. But it's one of those things where, if people are enjoying content and you say, hey, if you enjoy this, like it, they think, yeah, actually, I am. At least that's the way that I am. When somebody calls out, hey, if you like this, give it a like. I think, oh, yeah, I actually did like this. This was useful. And I do the button. So if you think that this is too obnoxious or obtrusive or spammy, let me know if you got a better idea about how to go about doing it. But a lot of people, while they're doing their live streams, they'll remind you every so often, but I'll never remember. And so I set the timer for myself. And otherwise I don't ask. And it works out well if we ask. Okay. I think at least. And then, yes, so I want to attach this. Let me go up and do this a little bit. But I'm open to suggestions. And yeah, you can join the Discord. There's the Discord link there as well. So let's put this out. So what are we going to do? We're going to have the TX token. We're going to get the address, but the address actually should come through as part of the plans. I have to double check that in a second. And then we get the TX data. And then after we get the TX data, that's when we want to do payment satisfies plan. And we'll just pass in TX data here. And then we're going to have TX data dot payment. And then we're going to have TX data dot duration. Yeah, okay. That's right. So check pass. And this should now accept an address as well. Address and plans. Okay. And the address and the plans are coming through. So then where is it back up the init? Is it where I want to specify this here? Maybe? Okay. And then I got to get the QR code and I got to get the listener and then maybe we're done. We might be able to get that done in 40 minutes. We shall see. We shall see. Okay. And what time is it real time? Oh crap. No, I can't wait 40 minutes to do this. I'm going to have to pick this up at another session. It's already past 2 a.m. I was looking at the timer, not at the time. So I'm sorry. I'll give it 15. I'll give it 15 minutes. Let me set a visual timer here. Okay, set myself a visual timer for about 15 minutes. Maybe I should move the visual timer somewhere I can see it. Yeah, like right here. There we go. See? One of these little doodads comes in handy sometimes. I used to use it a lot more. I was a lot more productive, but then I also felt a lot more burnout when I was Pomodoroing 15 times a day. I don't know. It goes both ways. I was doing too many things. I was trying too many things. I was trying to eat healthier. I was trying to do this, that, and the other. I was trying to improve my some of my speaking habits, my getting rid of some of my verbal utterances, my ums and likes and you knows. I still am pretty strong on the you know and I mean, but I have almost entirely eliminated improper usage of like, and I'm satisfied with that. Okay. Shall we run it again? Yes, we shall. Oh, good. And this is from Insight. I don't think we need this one. We're going to need it again in a second, so I'll just leave it up there. So we got the how old, we got the spent, and then we did not get, is paid. If not is paid, add paywall. Okay, check pass. So let's find out why this didn't work the way that I expected. Because I did not get TX token is expired. Dash Daypass get TX token. Let's take a look at the get TX token. So no storage. Token. What did we get here? What was our debug output? Did we get a debug output? Am I looking at the right thing? That's strange. What is not going right here? Okay, let's take a look. Where does how old pop out? So this pops out, and then get TX data. So this works. And then I would be expecting to see, oh, I didn't return is valid. There we go. That was my problem. I didn't actually return it. So, and I don't really want is valid. I don't think that's termed correctly. This should be more, what's the right way to say? The pass is valid, sure. I'm not going to worry about it too much. So if I refresh, I'm expecting that this time the paywall won't come up. Indeed. Cool. So we're there. Now, so something worked, which means we're going to go ahead and do a get stage. So let's go ahead and add vendor and dash daypass and actually, let me just do a reset real quick. I'm going to add in my pretty RC, add fumped and lint. And I'm just going to call this whip checks TX data for pass. Cool. And I didn't even really need to push it because I'm on main. I should have a feature or whatever. Because what I'm going to do is, since I'm just going to force push over main, which typically I wouldn't do, but we're talking about the first 3 commits here. But I'll get rid of that whip because I don't like having whips in main. So let me see. What do we want to do? Let's say plans. Yeah, I don't have to do much with the plans, huh? And the plan should have some sort of title or label or something that should fit where we're going to show the QR code. But I think now what we need to get to is we need to show the QR code. Well, first let's just listen for TX lock and see how that goes. So we've already got, much of what we need in place. I'm going to go back to the repo. No, I don't have it here. Where did I have it? This right here. Oh, dagger to the heart. Event to listen to. They did not declare the variable. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it. My poor soul. Okay, so if not paid, then I want to do dash daypass dot listen tx lock and there is some sort of state change that we need to do, because if I do an add paywall, I just need to be sensitive to whatever the state is. There is some space and time. I mean, we're not going to get a network request faster than the DOM's going to load, right? But I don't know. It's hard to say. Trying times we live in. I think I'm just going to pass in both address and plans here as well. We'll sort that out a little bit later. So let's go ahead and say, we're going to initialize all that. Probably do something. Let's call this, instead of ready, let's call it all on DOM ready. There we go. That makes me feel better. And again, remember, you can ask me questions. We can talk about stuff. I will turn Q&A into Q&A clips, and I'll probably only roast you a little bit, maybe. Or I might be really polite and kind. That happens occasionally. And Bot wants me to remind you, of course, that if you want to check out some good talks on software engineering, creedscraftsmanship.com is where I put those. And I should also mention developer tools, webinstall.dev, if you want to be able to install good modern developer tools quickly and easily. Cross-platform, all the things. Okay, so I've got the remove paywall. I got that. What I need is the tx lock function. Let's go create this tx lock function. I think it's going to be close to the bottom here. Down by on-DOM ready, sure. Async function. Boom, 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 boom. Alrighty. So I'm not really clear what room inv means. I'm pretty sure we want to listen to tx lock, not tx. This IO bit, I don't know where that's coming from. I'm going to say let IO equals window.io maybe? Let's go check and see if window.io is a thing. IO is a thing, okay. Or let's just do that. And I'm going to say to do use WebSockets. Okay, and we are going to need, I am at some point going to want to make this a variable that we could change. Okay, so we're going to connect, we're going to join the room, we're going to subscribe to the room. I don't know, where is that documented, what that INV room is? Let's see if we can find INV anywhere else. Oh, TX lock is set true if matching TX lock event has been observed. Following events. Oh, TX lock. That's what we want. I'm assuming that it needs to be the INV room. I'm not really clear on why it would be one room versus another. Okay, and then event to listen to. Could we just call that something a little simpler? Target event, maybe? Event to listen to. Whatever, we'll leave it. That's clear. It's clear enough. Oh, what is this senseless nonsense? See, this is the perfect example of code smell. That else is completely unnecessary. See? But it's okay. We're not going to use... I don't know what we're going to do with this at all. So, debug. Let's do this. There we go. TX lock, and then let's look at the data and see what the data shows us. I think it's going to be same as transaction. I'm not sure, but we should... So we should be looking for, so what are we going to do? Look for address. We're pretty much going to do the same thing that we did before. Hopefully we'll be able to use that same code for get tx data. What was it? Get tx data. So hopefully we'll be able to transform tx data maybe. Yeah, I think we'll break this out one more layer. Match tx data. I don't know. Let's just run it and see if it works as is. And we're at 0 time. But I really want to finish this. I really want to have our V1. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and local storage. We're going to remove item. Is what we're going to do. Boom, now that's gone. We're going to refresh. Okay, good. TX lock. This is exactly what I'm hoping to see. We've got a bunch of V out. Okay. Oh, interesting. This is maybe more useful. Oh, time's up. Okay, I'm going to give myself another 5 minutes because we're so close here. The one thing that we don't have the QR code. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to throw up the text of the address, and then we can add the QR code next time. It's only going to take, again, final last words, but it's only going to take a few minutes to put the QR code. There's already good packages in place for that. But so we've got an array here. I'm a little bit confused. Okay, it's an object. Okay, it is an object. The formatting is a little bit weird. There's the TXID. So okay, so we want to take the TXID and want to take the V out. We don't care about the VN, right? Well, that's kind of strange. Huh. It's interesting that it doesn't show the VN, but that's okay. TXID, V out, array. And this is a really weird way to do it. What is it? Am I reading this correctly? I kind of want to copy. Let's see if I can just copy this in memory. Let's do copy object. Okay. Is that, oh, that stinks. That really, really stinks. Because then this is a weird way to do a collection, right? because you could have just as well put all of these in together, and then there's no easy way to get what key this is. So you just have to iterate over the keys. But that's fine, we can do it. So okay, this is it. TXID, vout, it's an array, and it's got a weird, instead of an element, it has an object instead of an element. So we don't know what the keys are ahead of time. Okay, that's fine. So we get this data, and then we're going to look for the address. So how do we look for the address? We're going to go through data dot vout dot for each. This might even need to, maybe this should be a find. Now, how would I know? Oh, this is something that's kind of frustrating. Oh, this is, oh, dang it. Oh, this is a really, really critical piece here. Great Wolf, you asked this earlier, and I did not think to the leaf node far enough. How are we going to know which payment is specific to this user? We're going to have to use some sort of weird XPub key system where our XPub key is going to have to be based on time or something like that. So, I need to put a to-do in here. I'll just put it under my notes. Because without a server, we're not going to be able to serve up a different payment address for each. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Let's go back here. Notes. All right. This is going to need needs to use XPub key plus time for payments. Okay, I'm over time. I just got to go. I'm well over time. And I need to wake up nice and fresh tomorrow, you know? I kind of want to stay work from home tomorrow. I might choose to do that. We'll see. Okay, so to wrap things up from where I'm at, let's go back into that dash Daypass. I'll give myself not another 5 minutes. Yeah, so we wonder. I wonder if it wouldn't be better though. Consider the amount of time, or not the amount of time, but the amount of code that you'd have to load on the front end. I wonder if it wouldn't be better to just pre-generate 1,000 keys in terms of size. What is that going to be? Let me just think on this real quick. Because if it's depending on how many transactions you're expecting per second, you could just pick one at random. And if somebody pays to it, then they get that transaction ID and it's all good. But anyway, we're going to go through each of these. We've got a vout, and then the vout's kind of weird because then we have to do object.keys vout, and then we have to do a for. Are we doing a sum on these? I guess it can only be there once, so it has to be a sum. Yeah. So function adder. Let's say we're gonna call this one adder. So if attr is equal to address, then we can say vout attr is, let's see, let spent equals 0, spent plus equals, I don't want this to grow too big. Let's just say if they're not equal, return. Well, this doesn't even matter though, whatever. Okay, I'll take it back. We'll put this in here. So the structure of this data is relatively important. So I'm just going to copy what this looks like over and just have a smaller copy of it. So I'm going to say let x equals, and then we're going to get rid of all of these but one. And I'm just going to close it out like that. And I'll do this. So txid. So we need to grab txid, right? Let txid equals. Are we going to have multiple outs to the same address? I don't think so. Something about this feels a little bit weird. Okay. So if spent txid equals something, what are we saying? Txid should equal data.txid, right? And then, so I guess if not spent, return. There we go. And then we could say local or db equals. Okay. So then we set item. We're just going to put in here ID is txid, or just data.txid should be fine. And then what else should be in there? I don't know if anything else needs to be in there. What else did I put in there in the other place? That was it. That was all I put in there. So that's fine for now. Set item. And then what we'd want to do is we would want to remove. So remove paywall. Okay. So let me go back to that bit of HTML. One thing we would want to do is have, we'll have another bit of style here. Background color is going to be white. Color is going to be kind of a dark gray. So let's do, it should be darkish gray would be what? 1, 2, 3, so 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, something like that. And then we could just put in here the address, right? Oh, so here we would put in address and plans. So add paywall. You could just do address and plans here. Okay, listen, tx log, yeah. All right, so let's take a look here. Let me put this down a little bit. Unlock this content for just, let's see, plans. Let's see, let payment equals plans 0 dot amount, right? Send -2. All right, so good news. What? Oh, you know what? Rookie mistake. Can't believe I forgot this. Where is my? I need to update my my boilerplate here. This is one of the things I cannot believe I don't have this in my boilerplate. So let's go back to AJ's HTML boilerplate here. Come on. HTML content type UTF-8. There you go. Content type. Meta. Nope. Okay. Meta content UTF-8. Meta char set. There we go. This is it. Boom. For shame. For absolute shame. Cannot believe that that was missing from my boilerplate. Okay. Let's see, feet. Add char set equals UTF-8. There we go. Let's add this in here. It should be right. It should be really right before, right after title. I don't know. Oh, and that actually is wrong because it is missing the trailing slash. Can you believe it? I'll just call it add missing slash. There we go. Okay. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use our old friend, the center tag. Everybody loves the center tag. I don't know why people hate the center tag. I really don't get it. Center tag is amazing. It does something. It does something well. What more can we say? There we go. That's going to be it for now. Okay. So unlocks when plan is unlocked. Okay, and then let's just reason about this for a second. The length of an address is 34. So times 1000 is going to be 34 kilobytes. Plus it gets compressed over the wire versus how much would that dash pay library be? You know, I think it'd be better off. I could be mistaken about this, but with all of those different crypto libraries you have to bring in, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, we'll have to test and see. But if it's in the realm of hundreds of kilobytes or megabytes, which I believe that it is, then it'd be better off just using the xpub key, generating 1,000 keys, and then listening on one, showing the user one, and if if you're not expecting that within the same 5-minute period, it gives you a pretty good chance that the key that someone is shown when they pay to it, it'll unlock when they pay it, not when somebody else pays it. Unless you have a really high traffic site, in which case you probably want a more custom solution than what I'm providing here that's got some more payment guarantees in it. But this is it. All right. So
now these points of data make a beautiful line, and we're out of beta, we're releasing on time.
I mean, we're not quite out of beta, but we got something done. So, and that's pushed up. So we do need one more session to finish this, or to get the full demo state ready. But we're in a good place. So thanks for joining in, those of you that joined in. For those of you that didn't join in, well, good riddance. And y'all have a good day, night, noon, whatever it is, wherever you are. Remember, thumbs up if you got them, thumbs down if you don't, like, sub, follow if you want to, and check out creedsofcraftsmanship.com, webinstall.dev, and all the other relevant links if you want to. And with that, I am out. Adios.